I'm back with Joan Collins, and I'm afraid I rattled her a bit by saying, by saying I'm going to talk about your hair and mine, assuming these are our hair, whatever. No, I just caught sight of myself in the monitor, and the lady did my hair up for me very fast. And it either looks better than it usually does, or But you know, I wouldn't want to say this on the air, and if we were on the air, I wouldn't say it.
I thought we were on the air.
The impact of your presence and your looks are simply stunning. Now, these days we just don't say that anymore because it's considered to be, demeaning to women because they're just frivolous little bubble-headed things that only care about their appearance. We know all that. By the way, why did you laugh earlier when I said she might have one detractor in the north of England or whatever I said?
I don't know. What was it that
in the introduction, I said something silly, and then I said maybe in the north of England. Everyone agrees.
Because you were funny. You were saying some funny things.
Well, the north of England,
yes,
to a Britisher means how would you get the same thing here? Trevor Howard on a show once said I wouldn't tour.
Podunk, Iowa.
Podunk Center, maybe.
Yes, that's right. That sort of thing. So it always gets a laugh. For some reason, it's like in England, if you're doing a stand-up comic, you say the word knickers, and everybody falls down laughing.
Knickers being underpants to you?
No, knickers being panties.
Yeah.
Come on, you know that.
Underpants. Are underpants and panties the same thing?
Well, men wear underpants, women wear panties. See, I still have there's a difference between the sexes.
I've been doing it wrong all these years.
Well, if somebody said, "Hey, Dick, wear your knickers,"
yeah,
what would you look for?
Or if they said, "Hey, knickers, wear." Never mind.
This is like a scene from Ready to Wear with Danny Aiello.
Well, it's awful when your name is a slang synonym for the male member. Anyway, having to go through life with that.
Now you know, that's the first time that I thought of it.
You were playing on it subtly in your feminine way.
Yeah, so does it affect you?
But imagine how Peter O'Toole felt.
Yes, Peter the Tool,
but anyway,
as he was called.
The great Trevor Howard was on a show. Pardon me, I've swallowed a Lorna Doone cookie.
Do you get them free?
There. You had something in your eye before when I was. It's the maimed here. Trevor Howard once said, I love touring at plays. I'm doing publicity for a movie, he said.
Yes.
But I wouldn't do a tour in the north of England. And no one knew what he meant by that because we just wondered why a part in a higher longitude would it be, or higher latitude would be any different. Well, but the north of England means Hicksville, Podunk Center,
not Hicksville. No. Gosh, I don't want to be stoned when I go up there. They just are, you know, us Southerners, you know, who live in London. We're a bit more. We consider ourselves to be a bit, you know, sort of better than them. I must tell you a story about Trevor Howard, who I adored and who was such a wonderful, accomplished actor. I was working at a studio called Pinewood in England, which is the most beautiful old country mansion set in acres and acres of rolling green, and they had a non-stop bar there right next to the restaurant. They had a gorgeous restaurant, fabulous. People would come and have lunches and dinners there. And this fabulous bar which would open at 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning, so all the guys could go in and have a drink. And you'd see Oliver Reed and Trevor Howard and all the other reprobates there. And I was doing this picture called The Adventures of Tom Jones, The Further Adventures of Tom Jones, sequel to Tom Jones. And I played Black Bess, a highwaywoman. What a stupid role. And he was playing the father of Tom Jones, and he would be in there, and he would be drunk as a skunk. I mean, he would be telling the story rowdy. And I said to the producer, I said, "Look at Trevor." I said, "He's going to be doing a scene today. What are you going to do?" He said, "Don't worry. Go and watch him when he gets on the set." So the assistant director pulled him out. He trotted out of the stage, made up hair, put his hat on, went in front of the camera and said, "Action, perfect. Perfect."
What is that?
You'd never have known he'd had a drink.
What is that? Is he acting sober?
English, actually. English actors.
It's called English?
Who love to drink. And actresses, too, I might add. There are very few, well, it used to be, because, you know, the bars were always closed during the time that they were on the stage, so and all the clubs and pubs, so they would only be open for half an hour by the time they finished the show. So they would have to finish the show and rush and drink as much as they possibly could.
That's why the last act came down earlier than it might have.
Yes.
Well, now, knowing your verbal skills and wiles and so on, and I might doubt that story, except I was an extra on a live Playhouse 90 with Trevor Howard.
Yes.
And he was chaffassed, as a roommate of mine used to say. So much so that I had to help him back from lunch. He'd broken his leg skiing, for another thing.
Skiing or falling down the stairs drunk?
Well, he actually had, I think it was skiing, but his lunch consisted of 3 beers and 2 martinis, I swear to God. And
what was dessert?
Do I go ahead and, we hate to think, do I go ahead and tell him you're going to have to cancel rehearsal? And as you say, he sort of got himself onto the set and said, something has to give this experience a meaning, David. And he was sudden, that was the first line of that scene. And I thought, was he acting drunk a moment ago? Or do you act sober when you're drunk?
You act sober when you're drunk. I've only done it once, and it was, I found it quite terrifying.
Would it work if the police pulled you over?
Well, I would never drive while I'm drunk. I'm a much too responsible citizen.
Of others.
Oh, others. No, because they have, do they have breathalyzers?
Would I apply wrongdoing on your part?
How do you tell whether somebody's drunk in this country if the police pull you over?
They ask you to do a number of things, including put your right hand up, and if you get the wrong hand, and so on, walk a straight line. And they're various physical tests.
So you don't have to blowing
simply
into
can't be. And then they have the breathalyzer, as in the dirty joke. But we won't have time for the joke. But when we get back, we will get to ripping the mask of hypocrisy from Miss Collins' face right after this.